Cheat on me right before we get married. I'll turn your entire family against you. In mid-November, I learned my fiancé Sam had been cheating on me for 6 months. I discovered this by accident. My phone died and I needed to Google something, so I grabbed his iPad. Sam has a message, so all his messages sync to the iPad's message app. I saw everything: texts, pictures, and videos. Apparently, that master's in chemical engineering didn't constitute much intelligence because he never changed his passcode. His sidekick was a mutual friend of ours, Madison, who'd been in our home, had dinner with us, and was someone I'd actually seen as a potential bridesmaid. I spent days reading through everything, and she was pregnant. He'd also been sending her money from our saving for a bigger apartment fund. I was devastated. I cried so hard I thought I'd throw up. But what really got me were the things they said about me. They mocked me, made jokes, ridiculed and belittled me because I was the oblivious idiot fiancé who was so stupid. Madison would text me, chatting about wedding planning, then screenshot the messages and send them to Sam, laughing about how stupid I was. There was so much more and far more vicious. I was gobsmacked. I felt like the meanest girls from high school were standing over me, laughing while I cried. But I was more confused than anything. Who was this person pretending to be my Sam? Now I realize I'd only seen one side of him. For 3 years, Madison had actively been pushing Sam to dump me and suggested the day after Christmas, after we'd returned home from seeing his family. When I read that particular message, something inside me snapped. I've been snickered at my whole life for being a poor kid in a wealthy school, for being a fat kid and teenager, for being an ugly duckling, for always having older, out-of-date things, for being quiet, for being an unphotogenic teenager. But growing up with all that gives you a core of steel, and anyone who tries to punch it will break their hand. I was not going to be humiliated. Not again, and not like this. So I thought ahead. Sam had been out of town when I discovered the messages, so I had a few days to pull myself together. For the next month and a half, I pretended everything was fine. Soon, my feelings toward him hardened until my initial devastation was gone and replaced by nothing. I'd wait until I was alone to read through his iPad, always putting it back in the same position in his bottom drawer. He never suspected anything, and still never changed his passcode. I collected the most telling evidence, the most explicit messages, the most vicious ones towards me, the ones mentioning the money and the ultrasound photos. I sent them all to myself, and then covered my tracks. Christmas comes. We arrived at his parents' house on Christmas morning, with plans to spend the night. I spent the day watching that cheating, mocking, money-laundering scumbag have a lovely Christmas. He kissed me goodnight and whispered in my ear how much he loved me. The next morning, before we all sat down for breakfast, I sent all the evidence to his mother and his father and his 2 siblings, and 3 of his cousins, any family member whose contact I had received it. I was able to time this because Sam's family is pretty phone addicted, and they all get email notifications. I wish you could have witnessed the scene which befell that house. The weasel couldn't even face his own family. Talk about whiplash from that plot twist. He ran outside and had to be cornered. His brother dragged him by his hair back into the house, but I didn't stay for that. I'd insisted we take my car, so I said my goodbyes to his family, reassure them this wasn't their fault, thanked them for everything, and left. I changed the lock on our apartment, sold the ring, put all his things in trash bags, and put them outside the gate to our apartment complex with the iPad on top. Luckily for him, no one took anything. He's currently staying with a friend, as none of his family in town will speak to him, and he can't afford a hotel indefinitely. And don't worry about Madison, I didn't forget about her. I sent everything to her mother, who she still lives with.